This is Helix, a self-extending AI agent. It doesn't come with pre-built tools. Instead, it writes code, packages it into Docker containers, and deploys microservices on the fly to solve whatever you throw at it. So everything you're going to see in the demo is live, and there's no shortcuts. So first, I'm going to ask Helix to generate a QR code. And it doesn't have the skill, but it's going to generate a Docker container, run some Python code, and be able to have this skill in its tool belt. So we can see that it's building this new skill, QR code generator. And then it's going to use Docker and Python and then return it to us. So now we have localhost we can visit. Now we have this QR code for the GitHub of Helix itself. Okay, next I want to make a different QR code. I'm doing this so that it can reuse its tool that it just created. 20 seconds ago it didn't have this tool, but now it does. We can see it's very quick. It already generated it. So let's refresh and see what the new QR code looks like. There we go. Now here's our QR code for this blockchain website. Now let's do something a little bit more interactive and maybe harder to do. So I want to create a chart showing revenue versus expenses over time with some data that's in my repo. So here I'm going to paste in the command and let Helix try. So for context, the data looks like this. Just some simple data, hard to look at first, and so that's why we would want a way to visualize it. And so you can see that it's creating this new skill, this revenue expenses chart. I'm just going to call it, and then now we have it at a different port from our QR code tool. So let's view it. Here we go. Now we have that JSON to a nice, easy to read chart, and it's very quick. And so now we can use it in the future for other data that we have because it has this tool in its tool belt. One of my favorite features about Helix is that Helix can self-extend itself to a different messaging service. So for example, I use Telegram. I want Helix start the Telegram bot. So I can talk to Helix through Telegram. And I can pull it out on my phone, but today for the demo, I'm just going to pull it up here. And here it is. Helix is a self-extending AI agent. I want to see what skills does this bot have. And it should have the same skills as it had in the command line interface. Here we have the QR code generator. We have the revenue expenses chart. Now let's try to use one of these pre-existing skills from Telegram. So I'm going to ask it, create a chart showing revenue versus expense over time for this other data. Let's see how it does. Again, it should recall and use its old tool. And I already finished, so let's refresh. Here we go. Very simple to read, less data, but still super cool that it can use its own tool belt to get new data. Okay, next one. Let's see if we can build a tool from Telegram. So I'm going to ask something simple. Just build me a coin flip endpoint that we can hit and get heads or tails. So we can see that it has received this request. It doesn't have this current skill, so now it's going to build a new one. And then once it's done, we have an execute point where we can execute this code. So let's say flip a coin. Flip a coin. There we go. So I really like Helix for a few different reasons. Helix starts with 0 capabilities. Every skill you saw was written, containerized, and deployed live by the agent. Skills persist, they're reusable, and they work across any interface. The core idea here was that instead of building a tool for every use case, build an agent that builds its own tools. And these are skills that evolve on demand.